Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast.
Oh, your voice is especially husky this morning.
I don't know, I have something in my throat.
It sounds like very sensual, like bed kind of voice. Like,
Yes. It's
Yeah.
early morning.
Let's go back to bed, sweetie.
like I feel like she should be reading an erotic novel or something.
That'd be nice.
Ooh.
I'm sure our
actually,
listeners would enjoy it
well,
too.
I'm struggling to imagine.
I had a
her
whole
doing
erotic
that.
dream last night, but that's another story.
Oh,
so.
that again.
Ooh.
Oh, another morning woken up to that.
I'm like, this is either really good for him or this is like, wow, I'm just finding this out now.
It just means more work for me today.
Oh God, that's good.
Anyway, TMI. We're here with co-host Russell Case.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
And my dear friend
Adriana Keefe.
Yeah, well, my married name
Keefe?
is Hispanic, so it's Keefe. Yeah.
Oh,
It's Keefe.
Yeah.
Are the Irish are not considered Latinx? Is that what you're saying?
No, they are not.
They're not.
No, he's
That's so
very,
bizarre.
very white. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of like, aren't they the Latinx of Europe? Are they not?
I think that's the Scottish.
No. I think. Oh, was that the Commitments? No, I think it was the Irish.
The Irish
the
are
Commitments
the
were
Commitments.
considered.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the Irish. I'll ask my husband.
No.
Yeah.
Keefe.
That explains the Boston area.
Keefe from
Yes.
Boston.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, you should hear the Bostonian accent that comes out of my husband when he's especially talking to his dad. Coffee.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hoss. My daughter's like, it's a horse. He's like, Hoss.
Hoss.
The Hoss.
I always go
Hoss.
straight back to Good Will Hunting
Exactly.
whenever I think of Boston accents.
Or The Departed.
Anything Mark Wahlberg or
Mark
Matt
Wahlberg.
Damon. Yep.
Are you one of those kids with two accents? You got two accents?
I don't think I really have that much of an accent, but
no, you don't. Not at all.
Yeah. Where are you from then?
I was born and raised here. My father is from Puerto Rico, and my mom, she was raised here, but her family is from Pennsylvania. They're very Pennsylvania Dutch. That's what's in my. That's what kind of I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Germans. Wow.
Yeah, so no one in your house had the Boston accent, so you didn't really develop it.
Yeah.
Our listeners kind of both adore and roll their eyes every time I do this, but I try to make connections with our guests. One of the things I was really excited by and activated by is when I was in college, I had gotten into a circle of Puerto Rican activists, and we were kind of in a circle around Dr. Solis, who was famously the 15th political prisoner and had been framed by the FBI. They planted bombs in his home, and they discovered them when they raided his home. That's how the story goes, at least from Dr. Solis' side. But yeah, it was an exciting period to kind of feel like I was becoming more and more politically aware all the time, and sensitive to my own privilege. And so, I don't know. Is that what we're under discussion for today?
Well, I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with his chart. This obsession with finding intimate connections with all of our guests.
It's not one of those podcasts, is it? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, I'm going to analyze the shit out of you. Yes.
Oh no. All right. Well, I have an introduction for Adriana. Is an award-winning real estate dropout turned human design coach and motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
After her own quarter-life crisis, she's now teaching high-achieving women how to create harmony in life. That's what I do in my day, and without sacrificing their goals. Adriana is a wife and a mother to 3 children.
3 children.
A lover of wine and new girl. We can ask about that. And host the podcast Women Who Want More. But isn't that the problem when you want more?
I think every woman wants more.
I think that's like wanting more is what creates the suffering. I don't know. She strives to coach through an entire mind, body, and soul experience and teaches through one-on-one coaching workshops and speaking events. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. And as soon as you started saying that you like to make connections with your guests, I was like, oh, that right there, that's his gate 37. You very much like to make people feel welcome and at home and encourage that easeful conversation. So that makes total sense.
And then what you get from that is when people accidentally release personal information, which is what I'm really craving. We did a podcast late last night, and someone just got too comfortable and started talking about all the coke they did in the 90s. And I was like, yes. Yeah. And that's going to be a very special Christmas episode.
That's gold.
Yeah. So, I mean, what got you into coaching? How did you leave real estate and decide to become like a coach for high performance women and then also like integrate this human design into what you do?
Yeah, that's like a full blown story, but I'll make it short and sweet.
No.
When I was
stretch it out.
It could take a long. Listen, I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about with your design charts. So,
okay,
you guys had
we'll
a lot.
I
had a lot of fun with your charts, but we'll get into that later.
Did she actually do her charts?
Yeah, she looks.
Oh, for fuck's
sake! Yeah, I did.
All right.
Oh, you didn't know this was happening. That's even
condense.
Yeah. So when I got pregnant with our second child, I was in real estate currently. And from the outside looking in, everything looked beautiful, right? I had the family and the husband and the white picket fence and the money and the career. And I got pregnant and realized how miserable I was. I mean, I struggle with anxiety, and then real estate on top of that is stress. Constant ringing of the phone and the emails. And I had one young daughter, another on the way. I realized like a whole summer went by and I hadn't even taken my daughter to the beach or done anything fun because I was working all nights and I was working all the weekends. And I just realized that the money wasn't worth it for me. And I had what I call my quarter life crisis, because I was like, well, if it's not something I'm really good at, what is it? And I went to school for veterinary. So I have literally had like so many careers in my life, and I hear that all the time. So I started, when I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, basically, I started interviewing everyone I knew who were business owners. And I asked them like how they got into what they're doing. Do they still love it? Following their passion versus purpose, all of that. Over time, I ended up hiring my own life coach and then moved on to another one and another one. And then one of these coaches recognized that I had this very strong coaching capability within me. I, at the time, had a network marketing business, which if you're not familiar with that, it's like, people who sell essential oils or other.
Which one was it?
I still have it to this
day.
Wine, yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Career possibilities are opening for us.
I love it. And I still have it. And so when I hired that coach, she recognized that my favorite part of that business was the team, was working with other people. And so she really tried to push me to start my own coaching business because of just the more scalability that there was. I had a lot of life experience very young. Unfortunately, when I was a child, I was a victim of sexual abuse for a few years, and overcoming as a child, and overcoming that by myself until like my 20s, where I ended up going to court for it, and it was a whole thing. So I had a lot to offer that I didn't recognize, and I was like, why would anyone want to hear anything from me? I didn't have that certification. I didn't go to school for business, all of those thoughts that people call imposter syndrome these days, But eventually she kind of pushed me into it, and I did it and I loved it. And then it wasn't until, I should back up. That coach introduced me to human design because I felt so lost. And the moment I saw my human design chart, Russell, you're probably going to feel this. I was like, holy shit, I feel so validated because like you, I'm a manifesting generator. And for all of my life, I would start things and stop things and try new things and have a million things going on at once. And I felt like I was such a quitter because that's what society was like. Why are you starting something new all the time? And then when my chart showed me that.
I've heard you say that word. You've said that word around the house before.
Manifesting generator.
Manifesting generator.
Oh. That's why.
I thought he meant quitter.
I think she's working on that as well But I thought you were always just like talking about the furnace. Like, what's wrong with the manifesting generator? Like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, that's what you are as well. So you're a multi-hyphenate, multi-passionate person with a lot of interests. You like to do things, a lot of things all at the same time. And so that kind of was like this light bulb moment for me. I didn't really do much with it except for start learning a little bit more about me. And then it wasn't until I was working with the coach that I met Harmony through, who said, you need to be the human design expert. And again, I went through that whole, who am I to be this expert? Who am I to teach people? But everyone all the time was asking me about their charts. And then we even went on that retreat at our coach's house, and people were like asking me to sit down with them and show them their charts. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. So that was everything that led me to this moment that now that's mainly what I'm focusing on is human design.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I want to just back up and ask you a question. Is this a common experience for moms that when you get pregnant and you have your baby and you realize you're miserable?
Yes. No, I did so much research on this when I first started coaching. I was actually on TV and the news talking about these statistics and everything behind that, because it's a rebirth of the woman. And it's not just the first baby. Every single time they have another child, it is a whole new rebirth. People don't prepare them for that. And nobody celebrates that new woman, who she is becoming. And so there's a whole identity crisis and shift that they go through with every big life change, especially something like that. So it's very common.
Is it different from postpartum depression, or are those two things? Is that what that is?
I think it's totally different.
They can go hand in hand, but it's a different thing.
Those are two different things still.
Yep.
Well, I was wondering, because you mentioned that your father had struggled with depression, and I didn't know if it was kind of related to like a pattern towards depression, or did you also feel like that was different?
Well, a pattern as far as you mean like hereditary?
Yeah.
So I am very fortunate that I have not struggled that deeply, I should say. I think a lot of people kind of, dabble in depressive thoughts and whatnot. But I struggle with anxiety for the most part, which also can go hand in hand with depression. So I'm very fortunate that I have not felt the way that he has felt, although I do have other people in my family who are currently struggling. And you can tell it is a hereditary issue.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, but so still something quite different from this model you're talking about, with women feeling this sense of rebirth as a new person and no one kind of being able to understand them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they're not having the resources and support that they need to figure out what way they're supposed to go. Everyone celebrates the new baby, right? Or if they give birth in a hospital, they're sent home 3 days later and they're like, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And that's what happens,
so
right?
true.
That's why I gave birth at home after my first one. But there's no support. There's no resource. I shouldn't say that. They're getting better. There are women. One of my best friends is actually starting a company all for supporting new moms. And it's a piece of that with like, who are you now? Who do you want to be? And who do you want to show up as? But we didn't usually have that.
It's very different in other countries where, say, someone like a doula is part of the state health system.
Yeah.
Which, ask an American what a doula is and try and see what Greek food they come up with.
Oh, that's so true. I didn't know what a doula was with my first. And with my first, I was laying in a hospital bed all alone for a long time. And then it wasn't until I was pregnant with my second that my one of my best friends, who now has the company, she sat me down, and it was actually kind of a joke. It was like a bait and switch. She's like, let's go out to breakfast. And then she's like, let me tell you about home birth. And I was like, what? And then I started learning all about doulas and midwifery and everything like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's not common.
Did you do a whole free birth? Is that with your second baby, or
no? I had midwives there.
Okay.
No doulas, but the midwives that you have pretty much have doula support. So I just had the midwives.
My friend Aseneth in Austin, Texas, had a free birth, and she had a full. Her husband, excuse me, she had a baby. Her husband had a full-on panic attack.
Yeah.
It was just like the most raw experience for
A
him.
planned free birth?
Planned free birth, yeah,
Wow.
with a
I see.
pool and
I don't think I
everything.
could. Well, I ended up hemorrhaging with my second, so there's no way I would have done it with my third. But I
Yeah.
think I wouldn't. I don't know. I'm too scared to do that. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. We lost a lot of women giving birth to children back in the medieval times before.
Just like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
In like
Maybe
Nebraska,
not even.
They're doing that.
Probably not even.
They're dying all the time.
Yeah, during the Industrial Revolution.
Just as a sidebar, I mean, that's one of the things, like another kind of myth about America that can be exploded is like the myth of a nuclear family, because it's really, on the whole, so many women were dying in labor, and so many men were dying out in the fields or at war, that a blended family is like the most natural kind of family.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about.
It is.
But again, that's probably not what Adriana is here to talk about.
No, that's a little side story.
I was actually on a podcast before home birth. I could talk about it all day long, but I know that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, but I think you bring up a really interesting point about feeling kind of lost, or also that sense of, as a woman, when you give birth to a child, like needing to figure out who you are again, because it is like a little death of yourself and a rebirth of yourself. And as you birth a child, it is really like birthing yourself again, and you're needing to like find your personality, find, your interests, find who you are in this new form. And yeah, it can be really disorienting, I think.
I actually never thought of it as this until right now, but I think it's a spiritual awakening every time. It's like that whole process, reawakening again.
Yeah, 100%.
How old are your babies now?
8, 3, and 1.
Oh.
Youngins.
Youngins, yeah. That's a lot
your
to
son,
do.
Is he 8 too? Wasn't he around my daughter?
11.
Oh,
he's
almost
just 12 in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I met him when he was 5, though. I was told about him when he was still in your belly. But,
where is he going?
I don't know.
No, it's been, I just think about like, the transformation and our experience of 5 to 12. He, is very different daily activities and things that we have to kind of endure. But he's still the same kid. He's still exactly the same kid that I met then.
Personality is formed.
But like having a 1-year-old and an 8-year-old, like you get pulled in drastically different situations that you have to kind of cognitively figure out what to do with the child.
I always say my 8-year-old's actually our hardest right now, because she's going through that, forming her own opinions and her identity and talking back. Yeah. She was always the angel baby, like the angel daughter, never had a tantrum. Now we're like, who the hell are you? What do you think you're doing? But the baby is also like the easiest baby that we could have ever asked for. And she helps a lot with him, which sometimes too much. We're like, stop trying to mother him, put him down, walk away, put him down, walk away. And but it's just navigating her attitude right now is probably the biggest difficulty. Yeah,
I think that's like the next 8 years of your life, probably.
Yeah, that's right here.
Do you ever indulge yourself in doing your human design work on the 8-year-old?
Yeah, not to the extent that I want to. I think probably after January, I want to dive even deeper into like my own husband's and theirs and whatnot. Every single child of mine, they're all different. So like different types. There's 5 types. So it's going to be a lot of exploring. But I do understand her better, knowing what type she is, and that has helped with my patience levels, at least.
Yeah.
How would you describe her?
Very she's very much the controller, the take initiative. We're gonna do this, no, you do this, like delegating people, but always being the one who calls the shots. And that's her type by design. She's very much the initiator. That's called a manifester. She's the one who initiates everything. She's the get started, get things going kind of personality. And that used to be really, well, it can still be irritating, but it's like they very much stand in their own opinions, and that's what makes them so fascinating. But they'll either really repel people, or people will be really intrigued by what they have to say. And so we're just working through that whole which which way are we going to feel today towards this energy, and allowing her to just be her without getting so impatient.
That's amazing, because okay, so I think that describes our child to a T. And his grandmother is the one who's totally intrigued by what he has to say. And his stepfather is repelled by that controlling behavior and turns into a troglodyte, and can just like stares at him as that's me. That's
made me sneeze.
It's I'm repelled. Yeah, repelled when someone is directing me to do things that I don't want to do.
That's probably in your chart.
It is. Yeah. It is. Yeah.
So what can I do about about living with a what do you call it, a manager?
A manifester.
A manifester. It sounds like a manager, honestly.
I mean, yeah.
I'm in charge of the radio. Do you understand? In the car, that's my job.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they are. And they can struggle to communicate things as they're going along, which can be really difficult for the people around them. So it's important for them to like keep people in the loop.
Right.
And they need that feeling of empowerment, that they are in control of what they need to do, or that's when they'll feel really angry. And it's just like that push and pull between two people. So finding giving them their alone time is important. Just having that, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember the word. When you really autonomy. There we go. There it is. Yeah. Autonomy is very important.
Because they're autonomous beings. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
That's great.
They're very inward focused, but that's good for them. So it's a matter of understanding their needs and their autonomy, and that they can't feel controlled, or they'll kind of lash out, just be angry.
Am I also the same person? Because that's
you have you're a manifesting generator. So how is that different?
Yeah, so a manifesting generator is a generator type. So a generator has a lot of this go, go, go energy. It's a lot of like where the 9 to 5 kind of work style comes from these days. But the generator has that power to also initiate and get things started like a manifester would. So they're a generator with a lot of energy, but they can also get things started as long as it's in alignment with their strategy and authority, which goes, I know you probably have no idea what that means, but we can get into that.
So what's Russell's strategy and authority?
Oh, okay. So let's see. Well,
as an example,
designs. Yeah. So his strategy, a manifesting generator strategy, is to respond. So literally you're designed to wait to respond to something from your outside physical reality before initiating your energy to do that thing. So yes, you can take
you have a fucking camera in my house. What are you what's going on?
Wait to respond.
Wait to respond. Yeah,
that's what I do, though. That's
good. It's like you have a defined sacral center, which is your gut. So like, do you feel gut reactions to things? Does that come naturally to you?
Yeah.
So that's if you're listening to that gut reaction, that's what's authentic for you, and that's when you know when to initiate energy, when to respond to things, and when not to. We always say, like, trust that life is coming to you and that you don't have to force things. Just listen to that gut and really fine tune the way that you can listen to that gut and what it feels like for you. And your strategy is the way that you interact with the world around you. That's in alignment for your energy, kind of balances everything out. And then your authority is the way that you make aligned decisions. So your decision is also based for you on your sacral center. So you have sacral authority as well. And that's really deciding yes or no to and to finding your answer based on your own gut response, your vocal reactions. Do you tend to be very vocal? Like if you eat a piece of pizza, you're like, this is good. Or, well, if you like pizza, I guess I should say. Or if Harmony is like, hey, let's go out at 10 o'clock at night, and you're like, ugh, I don't want to do that. Like, do you have that vocal kind of reaction, whether out loud or in your head?
I think you do. You sometimes make little noises.
Yeah, that's it. And that's your gut, your sacral center talking to you. So listening to that, that's going to be your authority. That's two of the biggest pieces that you can take from your design is just like trusting your gut and allowing yourself to answer from your gut instead of your head. That's what human design is all about. Get out of your head.
One of my yoga students in Brighton in England said to me once, "Can you just tell me what that sound means?" What do those sounds mean? Because I'm struggling here.
And that's
well, go ahead. I'm curious about because the anxiety that I have about what you just suggested is that I feel like I don't do enough to manifest my own destiny. I don't do enough to plan my life, and I'm just kind of responding to things, and it feels sometimes like I'm just like a straw in the wind, and I'm not really like a go-getter like Harmony, who's out there, really doing stuff. I'm just sort of sitting here, like I feel like I should be doing more.
But are you responding with taking action that you feel is necessary for you in that moment?
Well, yeah. I just won a prize in Calgary, because I responded. I didn't really plan it. I saw an opportunity. It's like, oh, that's exactly what I want. I'm gonna go do that. Harmony asked me what I wanted out of it. I said, I want to win prizes. And I'm here for the prizes. And I went and I won a prize, and I was really like completely gratified by the entire experience.
Really satisfied, right? That's
really satisfied.
That's exactly what's in alignment for you. When you feel that deep sense of satisfaction, that's how you know you followed everything in alignment to a T. When you are not, your it's called a not self theme. So literally when you're not in alignment with your true design, you'll feel frustrated. Like this deep, powerful sense of frustration, like you're hitting a wall. And that's how you know, oh, I made an incorrect decision here. Something's out of alignment somewhere. But when you feel that deep satisfaction, it sounds to me like you don't have a problem. You're already authentically living and flowing by your design without even knowing it. It's coming so easily to you that you're like, why is this so easy? I feel like it should be harder. That's the point of human design. It's not supposed to be so hard. It's supposed to flow.
But what if your wife tells you that you should be a bit more active?
Active,
like being
how?
more up to speed on your Instagram, that kind of thing.
What's really important for a manifesting generator and a generator is that you have to be really excited and lit up by what you're putting your energy into. If you're not, it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not, your energy is not there. You're going to end up in burnout, frustration, and it's just not going to feel good for you, and it's not going to give you the results you want. So if social media was something you wanted to build and you were excited about building, it would take off. But if not, if you're doing it just because you feel like you should, that is the conditioning from society, environment, Harmony, all around you telling you that you should do or be a certain way. But that's what the point is, deconditioning from the societal expectations and doing what feels an alignment for you and your energy.
I'm concerned that Harmony is even going to be like, you're not getting, you're now that you're in flow with your identity, you're really not going to get anything done.
Sounds like you're getting things done just fine.
I thought so. My life seems really easy to me. I don't know.
Okay, so we have a manifester, we have a manifesting generator.
Who am I living with? That's what I want to know.
He wants to know about the projectors, I guess.
A projector, which made so much sense when I realized you were a projector, because the projector is someone who's here to, it's like the director of the movie set, and they have a really strong capability to guide and direct others and have insight in a way that most other people do not. Very gifted in leading people. And so that it just made so much sense to me in what she does, because she is so good at what she does, and she's really honed in on her skills and really perfecting what she does. And that's what a projector is here to do. They're here to educate others from everything that they are so knowledgeable and good at. With a projector, the way you can support her is, Harmony, I don't know how much you remember or know about your design. It's important for you to wait for an invitation before giving advice or guidance or teaching. So what's really good for her energy is for you to ask her, hey, could I have your feedback here? Or some sort of invitation for her to share her knowledge, so that when she's putting it out there, it doesn't feel like it's just falling on deaf ears. And then her energy will be in more alignment and more power when she's invited in to share those things. And specific compliments are really good for projectors. It's kind of like the golden retrievers of people. Like, tell her she's so pretty, she's doing such a good job, and give her those specific compliments. That's really helpful.
So helpful.
So helpful. She really needs to make herself known and seen. That's what's important for her.
Can I ask you, what's the difference between her waiting for an invitation and the manifesting generator waiting for the right moment?
Responding. So just knocked my microphone. An invitation is like, she's not going to share what she has to say until someone literally gives her the open door to do so. A manifesting generator could sit here and just respond to someone with their advice. So if someone's complaining to you about how awful their life is and blah, 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 but they're not doing anything about it, people like a manifesting generator could, I mean, I do it all the time, and I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to be that friend that listens instead of just like giving advice. But I will respond with everything that I have to give them. And that, it is good for me. That's natural for me. Not so much what they want to hear in that moment, but for Harmony, it's really out of alignment for them to just simply respond with all the answers. People will not naturally listen if they don't ask her for her advice. So responding is for everything in life. You could literally be walking down the street and you see a store that just, I call it like this ping. You get this ping to go in this store. It's like the universe is like, hey, there's something in here for you. And you go in and maybe you found something you've been looking for years. Responding can mean anything, as big or as little as that. But an invitation to share, to coach, to teach is what Harmony needs, so that the person actually gets out of it what they need to get out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And where do you place yourself on this spectrum? Are you all? Did we already?
She's also a manifesting generator.
Also a manifesting generator.
So now we have 3 types. There's 2 more.
Yes, and then there is, well, the generator is
pure generator.
Pure generator is workforce kind of to-do energy. They do not have that manifesting energy where like to initiate things, to start new things. So they are simply in responding mode, responding to what comes up around them. And then reflectors, which are the rarest form. There's only about 1% out there, and they are literally reflecting back the environment. They're a mirror to everything in this world right now, and showing up how we are acting, how we can be better, and really reflecting back what needs to be taken care of, what needs to be done.
I have a really close friend who's a reflector, and she's like in a situation that's very troubling with a very troubling person who's like creating a lot of trouble for her. How is that, like, how can she manage that situation if like this person's giving her negative energy, bad vibes, bad energy all the time, and she's like a reflector and she's trying to like keep herself, from being affected negatively by all of this negativity and negative energy and activities and things. Like, how can somebody like that, who's so open and so much like just reflecting people in their environment, keep themselves sane instead of like getting pulled down by that sort of toxic energy?
Well, I recognize that what I'm about to say is coming from a place of someone who has done a lot of work for a lot of years. And so my initial reaction is to get them out of your life, like completely out of your life. I understand that many people aren't ready for that. And so that's where, one, understanding your human design and your open centers, because they have every center open, which means that they feel and pull in. It's like a chameleon. They feel everything that's coming in. They pull in all this energy that's not theirs. And grounding practices within that. How can I kind of zip myself up from their energy? How can I put those boundaries in place, physical and mental and emotional, all of those boundaries? But yeah, if they're that toxic, I would just be like, time to move on. Time to move on.
Yeah. I mean, to the case in point, definitely trying to, but unfortunately, sharing a child together, so very difficult to completely push someone out of your life.
No, I feel that. Yep. My oldest daughter is from a past relationship, so I get that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Do you said you did a lot of work, but as a manifesting generator, do you feel like you would have ever struggled with just deleting and ghosting someone from your experience, from your life?
Oh yeah, very much so.
You do? You did struggle?
I think most of it came from when I started to become an entrepreneur, because you just have this entire up leveling of everything in your life, friends included. I always live by that quote. Oh gosh, what's his name right now? You are Jim Rohn. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It is 1000% true. And you don't start seeing your own personal growth really up level until you can let go of relationships that are not serving you and are pulling you down. And a lot of those relationships, they're people who sometimes they mean well, but they're projecting their own fears onto you. Like, you shouldn't start a new business. You already have this successful one. Why would you risk everything, all that money, yada, yada, yada. And you just need to find people along your path who are like-minded, who are entrepreneurs, who get the struggle. So I think that was my biggest shift, was when I started to become a business owner and recognizing that the people around me weren't uplifting, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like people can often feel a sense that they're being inauthentic to who they are. And I think authentic is a really loaded term. And I have a bad connotation with it. I prefer sincere, someone who's always, trying to learn, rather than, someone who's, intractably unchanging. But people can feel inauthentic if they make a choice that's such a massive intervention in their life, like saying, I'm going to remove this person from my life. So, for example, like in AA, where you say, I need to remove people who are in my life, who are leading me, or allowing me to stay in a kind of in with these poor habits, toxic patterns, poor habits.
Yep.
And I've never really felt that way. Like, I'm like probably over eager to remove someone from my life.
He's really into shunning people.
Yeah, it's a big thing for me. Like, I grew up, reading Little House on the Prairie and Laura Ingalls Wilder, and like shunning was like a big deal in the frontier. And, it was effective.
Maybe that's in your chart too.
It is.
I don't.
It's in your chart.
I'm sorry. What are you reading?
So in your human design chart, I do, and I wish you could see it right now. So you have, let's see, which channel is it? Oh yeah, okay. So you have this connecting channel actually with harmony, which you guys had a lot of synchronicities in your chart, which was really fun to look at. But a piece of that is, you really need to find like-minded allies that support your goals, and you aim to bring everyone onto the same page, and you are like the glue to communities in a lot of ways. You have a strong sense of family, sitting around the table, really breaking bread with those that you love. You also probably have a fondness for food, but kind of like, who doesn't? You really thrive in tight-knit communities. Domestic matters are really important to you, with cooperation and respect. And so when there's one part of you that really loves to make people feel welcome. Sometimes you might come across as like, actually, Harmony, this is both your connecting chart. You might come across as like touchy-feely because you are a person who shakes hands and gives hugs and welcomes people. But the other side of that is if they're not really like-minded people and they don't feel like an ally, you know you don't need them. So that makes sense to me.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
Wow.
I know I don't need them. I do know that. Yeah, and I'm ready to turn the switch on them. Yeah.
And we both have the sacral authority, so we're both really like gut instinct people, I guess.
You don't, Harmony, you don't have sacral authority.
I don't? Oh, I thought I did.
You've splenic.
Oh, splenic. Yep. Oh, tell us about splenic authority.
Yeah. It sounds like a spleen.
Spleen. Exactly. With splenic authority means you have a defined spleen center. And this is, you can make decisions in the moment just based on intuition. Like you are the fastest decision maker. You're meant to be spontaneous and impulsive and making your decisions, and that can show up as like a whisper in your ear or tingles that you feel. Like whatever your intuition feels like, that's right for you. I feel like he's like thinking of a specific moment right now or something.
It's like every moment.
Good. So you're really connected to it then.
Yeah, that's how I live my life.
No, we had a plan.
Through spontaneity.
We had a plan, Harmony. This is what the plan was.
But that plan's working out, huh?
Yes. Planning is challenging for me because I do have such a strong kind of felt sense of what I feel like doing, what's leading me. Does this feel right? Does that not feel right? And like just kind of going with that instinctive intuition kind of sense. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. But it's really, I always find it amazing when people can like put together these schedules and plans and really organize their life. I mean, maybe it's also because I have like ADD and it's impossible for me to do that. I feel.
This is diagnosed, sweetie.
Well, this is just a theory because I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was younger. And so I don't, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I really am curious if these diagnoses are more human design, because ADHD I very much see goes hand in hand with a manifesting generator. And there's just a lot of pieces that I've seen along the way that I kind of wonder if that's really what it is. It's by design, but the medical Western medicine wanted to slap a label on it. But that's just my own thinking there. I don't know.
That's fascinating.
ADHD responds really well to amphetamines, I believe.
Coffee. That's why we're all drinking coffee.
I was hoping I could get a spit take out of that. If I timed it just right, I'd get a spit take, and I almost got one. She almost spit that out. But it's really funny. But when I hear you talk about ADHD, and then I see the way that you operate, where a switch does turn on for you, and you get into your project. It's almost like blinders are put on around your head, and you're aware of almost nothing else except the project.
Yeah.
And it's rare for me to ever feel that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm into a project where I'm kind of having awareness of all these other things that are going on all around me all the time. And it's like
I get in the zone.
Yeah, it's a kind of like blindness.
I can even work in a coffee shop, no problem.
And your son is the same way. So clearly your clone.
Clearly your clone.
Very little. Yeah.
I'm wondering, Harmony, can you only do that for like a few hours at a time? Maybe even only a couple hours at a time?
Yeah, I would say I definitely have like a sort of 2 to maximum 3 hour time limit for that.
And that is the difference between a projector and like a generator type, because generators can go out. We could work for hours and hours and hours. And you and I are probably multitasking while doing it. But a projector, they need a lot more rest. They don't have that sacral energy that we do, that defined motor center that gives them this, what feels like sometimes limitless energy. So they need to stop and recuperate and take breaks. And only really focus on things like that a couple hours at a time, or they'll be real prone to burnout if they don't.
Wow. one of the fondest periods of my life, and paradoxically like the loneliest period of my life, but I was like really into it, was when I was in graduate school. And then for painting graduate school, the expectation is that you go into your studio and you develop a body of work out of fucking thin air. And so like the expectation of spending like 10, 12 hours a day working in the studio is really high, but I also found like I was the only one actually doing it. Like a lot of my cohort were really getting like 2 hours in, and then they were exhausted. And I was like, "You guys are losers." You know, like I'm in
Stunning
here.
people, stunning.
And I have, and I have shunned many of my classmates. But I was living there. You know, I was literally
living in your studio.
Yeah.
I had a little couch that pulled out of the closet, and I would sleep there and live there, and then I would go into the city to do yoga. I'd come back, and it'd be another 14-hour day, and it was no sense of burnout for me. I was just like, yeah, this is the best time of my life.
So because it
And
really
also
lit
like
you
really,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, something was really happening, shifting, changing. Things were really getting interesting, and I maybe I felt the effects on my body and mind later, but I felt, I really felt like I was indulging in that loneliness, and I was listening to a lot of Nick Drake, and but there's also like, yeah, all these things are happening in the studio all at the same time, there are social connections happening, there's music happening, there's the work that's happening. Yeah, I'm kind of still stunned by the way that harmony works, where it's just like one thing, and she doesn't even notice anything else happening in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. She just really like hones in, and they're known for efficiency and productivity and systems. Really good at seeing what can be more efficient in others, which is probably when you're like, well, Harmony's telling me I should do this. She's probably like, well, it'll be a lot more efficient if you did it this way. They're really, really good at that. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Interesting. What about those poor reflector types?
What about them?
Well, I'm just curious. So I don't know. I just think it must be so difficult to just because they're all open, right? All their centers are open, so they're just taking in all this energy from like around them all the time. So you were saying like put up some good boundaries and like do some things that are really grounding and centering. So I'm thinking
That's
like
so
those
antithetical to their
those need to be
experience.
very like the yoga practice is so good for them, or like some meditation or some like how can they keep themselves like on track, and what are they here to do?
So it's so funny because a lot of information that you find online about like open centers and reflectors, it makes it sound like a bad thing, but it's actually a really beautiful design to have, because they can feel true empathy. They can embody others' experiences in a way that others cannot. They can really take in everything around them and really be that chameleon. That being said, if you are letting negative things in, if you don't know that you're a reflector or have an open center here or there, that's when it gets tricky. But when you know how to manage that with the right boundaries, with processing things, understanding that it's not your voice, it's their voice, and things like that, that's when you turn it into wisdom. They can really take all that knowledge because they've felt and seen and were everything else, and they can turn it into, how can we make a change? What can we do here that will reflect a better environment around us? And so it's a really beautiful design to be able to mirror us back to the good health and stability and well-being of where we're at in a way that other people cannot. But it is all about learning about what your boundaries need to be, ensuring that the information you're taking in, is their information, not yours. So you can take what you want, leave the rest. And it is a learning process. But I would think any sort of mindfulness activities along with grounding activities is really, it's good for anyone, right? But exceptional for someone who is navigating all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting.
Can we just review?
Yeah.
You mentioned that there were 5 types in a human design. Can we gonna go through them one more time? And
I want to go through them.
Oh, you want to go? That's amazing. You can go through them one more time. Did we talk about all 5?
Yeah, I think
we did.
so. We did the manifester, pure manifester.
Who does what?
Brings things to life, right?
Okay.
Initiates.
Initiates things.
Initiates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my words. Brings things to life. Initiate.
Yeah.
Then we have a manifesting generator who initiates and also continues, keeps going, does the work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm still on track?
You're good.
Okay. And then we have just the pure generator who doesn't really initiate, but is like the fuel to keep the machine going.
Yep.
Does the work and keeps things moving along.
Okay.
And then we have the projector who's like the conductor. Who's
the conductor
overseeing and reflecting back how people can improve or be better, or teaching, guiding, like the overseer. That's how I see the projector. Is that right?
Yeah, like the director on the movie set. Yep.
Yeah. And then there's the reflector. And the reflector is taking in the energy around them and then reflecting it back,
like an audience.
I don't know. Is it like an audience? I always see a mirror.
Yeah, I would say a mirror, yeah. And the really fascinating part about being a reflector is their authority, which is the way that they make decisions, is called lunar authority. They literally have to wait an entire lunar cycle, 28 days, before they can make an important decision. And that's because it filters through every piece of their design to make sure, is this me? Is this conditioning? Is this me, or is this someone else saying that I should answer this? And then at the end of that 28-day cycle is when they'll find their most clarity.
Amazing.
Can you talk a little bit about the construction of these types and how this arose?
Oh yes, we didn't even touch on like the history.
Yeah.
So he has since passed, but the original channeler of human design was named Ra. Well, he changed his name to Ra Uruhu, and he discovered the human design system in 1987. So in 1987, he had what he called an unusual mystical experience in Spain, followed by an encounter with a voice or an intelligence. And then after that, he literally wrote, I think it was for like 8 days and nights, he wrote all of this information down. All this information ended up being what they call now as the human design system. And so the emphasis or the basis behind human design system is it's like the operating manual for your soul. It's the science of differentiation. How is my energy different than yours? And it's based on astrology, the I Ching, Kabbalah, astronomy. And I think that all of that coming together, it's kind of like if the Enneagram and astrology had a baby that was a little bit more science-backed, that's what I feel like human design is. And it's I've never met someone who did not agree with their chart. It's probably the most fascinating work that I've ever done. But yeah, Ra'uruhu has since passed, but his work continues on jovianarchive.com and mybodygraph.com are great places. They have a blog and whatnot to find more information.
And what kind of type is that when someone goes into a mystic sort of schizophrenic state and then transmits these concepts? What is that
did he do human design on himself?
Is that a manifestor?
What kind of type was he?
I honestly forget what type he was. And as soon as you started saying that, I was like, crap, what is his type? I honestly forget. So now I have to look that up and figure that out.
Maybe our listeners can put it in our comments on Instagram.
We could do an Instagram.
It's like a little research.
Well, a prize. For the winner.
There you go.
Put comments on who you think the Rahuru's type is. So you and I share this type, the manifesting generator, if I have that right. And I wonder if you could talk to us about your day, your spiritual practice, and given what you know about yourself, how you plan your day and what you do to optimize your experience of being you.
What a good question. I've gotten a lot better at this since understanding what I need, what my energy type needs. I have a piece of me that really thrives with consistency and routines. There's parts of me that don't so much, but in the morning, like that, I mean, I've got 3 kids, guys. That's a lot of kids. And so I need time to myself. So in the morning, I wake about an hour earlier. Depending on the day, it might be earlier if I'm going to the gym or not. And I get in some sort of movement. I drink my Ayurvedic Gatorade, which is lime and salt water. I have an Ayurvedic coach, so
that's nice.
The whole thing. Yep, it's my whole thing. And then I spend time reading. And then when the kids wake, we get them off to school or whatever it is that they need to be doing. And then when I'm done getting myself ready for the day, but before work, that's when I'll meditate. I'll go through my finances. I will go for a hike with my dog if I'm feeling so inclined. And then outside of that, when I'm feeling kind of energy depleted, I should be doing it more, honestly, is what's really good for our energy is some sort of musical movement. Dance, sensual movement and energy around music or dancing or playing an instrument, something like that really gets the energy flowing, which makes so much sense because I grew up a dancer. I've always been into dance. And when I was a teenager and I go clubbing, like that was my kind of dancing. And now it's more like Zumba or hip hop classes or something like that. Oh, how it changes. But that's really good for me, along with just listening to music or singing. And that would be really good for you as well.
We have a Roomba, and I will often dance with that.
What?
We kind of go around in circles together.
Do you put on music
singing
too?
Though you put on your singing and you put on music in your studio when you're painting, and then you're like screaming, singing down here.
Screaming, singing.
Yeah.
When a painting is going really well and I feel lit up by it, I will start to dance.
Yeah,
that's been something. When I was younger, I would go in Chicago. I would go do industrial rave dancing, which was
fun.
Yeah, super fun.
It's really trying anything new, learning something new and challenging yourself outside of work is also another big piece. So taking up any little hobby, whether it's going and rave dancing again, like whatever it is, taking up any little hobby like that to keep that kind of outside of work, like the playful juices flowing, really good for manifesting generator. Yeah.
I do like taking up new hobbies, but I often feel like when I'm doing it, a sense of anxiety because I'm not sure that I'm aligned, that I feel like maybe this is a distraction from the real work. Like, would Philip Seymour Hoffman be, learning how to fleet command an online community of spaceships right now?
No,
I don't know. Maybe he'd just be on the work, but I'm really like responding to interesting things that are so, I don't know.
But that is all literally what society makes you feel that you should be doing. That's when people get really caught up. Well, this isn't productive right now, but it's productive because it's for your energy. It's putting everything back into alignment. And then Harmony, what do you do that kind of fills up your soul? I'm curious if it's what I know that like a nourishing ritual would look like for a projector.
Totally asleep.
I do like sleeping. I find that incredibly nourishing for my soul.
Very good. Yes.
You can often find me taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon.
That's good.
Yeah. But what else do I like? I enjoy meditating. I mean, my favorite holiday is a 10-day Vipassana where I don't have to talk to anyone and I can just meditate for 10 hours a day and be silent.
We should make sure that happens every year.
I really want to do it again.
We should really make sure that happens. That's really good for you.
It's very, very filling for me.
Because on that hand, you can do that all by yourself, whereas the nap only works when you're lying on top of me.
It helps to have someone napping with me.
Specifically me.
Specifically. But so would you call that 10-day of silence and meditation, would you call that like a guilty pleasure almost?
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I love it. I mean,
Yep.
I like that. I
That's
love
what
those
projectors
retreats.
need on top of rest. I mean, rest can look like different to everyone, right? But
Yeah.
for you, it's napping, and then your guilty pleasures of whatever is coming in for you. That's so nourishing.
Does a
Any kind of
projector?
guilty
Yeah,
pleasure?
does a projector need a guilty pleasure?
To be able to turn their mind off. That's the
Yes.
goal. So whether you call
That
it a
makes
guilty pleasure or
sense.
not, you need to be able to turn your mind off. So for me, in order to
Yeah.
turn my
Yes.
mind off, I have to turn on some really awful TV that makes me feel better about
Right.
myself, like The Bachelor
Yeah.
or something like that. And that helps
Mm.
me turn off everything else. That's what you
Did you
need.
Yeah.
hear me respond with my sacral center to The Bachelor?
Mm. Mm.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's interesting. How else can a projector like nourish themselves? So like having some kind of guilty pleasure or something that
Mhm.
helps you turn off. See, I think that's really interesting because sometimes like with my yoga practice, I feel like it doesn't help me turn off. It's like
Mhm.
a to do, it's like a have to do, and I don't find that nourishing or relaxing at all.
I'm so glad you said that as someone who literally teaches yoga, because I love yoga and I know it helps me and I
Yeah.
feel good after I do it, but my mind
Yeah.
does not turn off. Like, I don't get into that meditative space. So that makes me feel so much better that you just said that.
Yeah, I mean, my mind can turn off sometimes, but it's usually like after an hour and a half. And I mean, who has that time?
Yeah, no, not
Yeah.
I. Not I.
I mean, I used to have that time, but like, I think when you're really in a creative space or you're really busy or and you get into your yoga practice, sometimes
Mhm.
it like sparks more creativity and
Yeah,
actually like your mind starts kind of like inventing and creating and, thinking of things,
yeah,
And so in some way it's like beautiful. I knew a writer who this would happen to her all the time in her practice, and she'd keep a notepad by her
Yeah.
mat, and as she would be practicing, she'd like be stopping and like
yes.
scribbling
Yeah.
notes all
That's
the
Same.
so
time because
good.
it would like, yeah, because you're entering that like different brain wave where
Yeah, you're
like
going into it.
creativity starts to come up, right? And I mean, it is
You
a
don't want to
restful
lose it.
state maybe
You don't
Mhm.
want to lose
for the
it.
Oh, that
brain,
is so good.
but
I have so many
yeah.
thoughts around that. Well, first, I'd say anything rest that looks like rest to you. It could be going for a hike, it could be
Mhm.
swimming, whatever that is that allows you to feel a little bit rejuvenated. But I think the fact that you just talked about creativity and just energy moving through your body in yoga is
Yeah.
why movement at least once a day is so important, even if it's like I've really worked hard on making sure that my whatever my sense of movement was for the day, it didn't always have to feel productive in the way of like building muscle mass or losing weight
Right.
or whatever. And so I've had my physical therapist telling me I need to do more yin yoga. And for so long, I was like, no, that like, what is that doing for me besides stretching me out? But
Right.
either way, now things are moving, energy's moving. And so even in the morning, if you can't get a full workout in, but you can do some
Mhm.
yin yoga. Any sort of movement like that
Mhm.
is going to get all that energy flowing. I love that you just said that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
that's
I,
good.
I have to say that I think that one of the issues for us with yoga is that my experience of yoga is one where you're pushing up against emotional boundaries that are responding to
Mm,
sensation. So I feel like that at the heart is what yoga is that you go to stretch and you go and touch your toes and you feel something bound in your hamstrings that's emotional. And then you breathe in response to that to train yourself to adjust to emotional fluctuation.
mm.
To me, right now, that just sounds like more fucking work I have to do. Like
That's
I don't want to
exactly how
have
I
to go
felt.
through. I don't want to have to go through like some
Emotion.
immersion
Yeah.
therapy in the middle of my fucking afternoon. I'd rather go into my studio and paint and listen to music and actually fucking have a
Feel
nice
good. Yeah.
time
Hmm.
rather than endure past fucking trauma.
I
Like
know.
it's so irritating. Like the whole kind of yoga model to me right now. It's like it's just if there is nothing else to do in my life, then yoga is a kind of stressor that is important. And I can
Hmm.
go in the ashram and have this this one stressor in my day, but I have a lot of other fucking things to do that are emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
Last fucking thing I want to do is go and feel how, my childhood fucking pain.
I know.
And breathe through it.
Yeah, and breathe through it. I know. I've been doing it for a little while now, at least a couple times a week, and it is every time I just this is good for me. This is good for me.
It is interesting because it's like a type of somatic therapy, but it is a type of somatic therapy. Yeah, let's just but like you're saying, you kind of have to be up for it.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of what I'm doing is I'm also in hypnosis right now and really envisioning like my back fracture healing and all of these things. And I'm really trying. And so I'll envision it, and it feels good when I'm doing, it's kind of painful good. But yeah, it's like before I do it, I'm like, oh, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want to do this. Every time.
Yeah.
How did you fracture your back?
We don't really know. It started to be symptomatic after I had my second daughter, but I was a gymnast and an equestrian, so they say from landing on your feet like that. So yeah, it could have been any of that.
Or a bad horse.
And then it got maybe
Good job,
How do you
Good
say
try.
it?
Good try. Good
exacerbated.
Exacerbated.
In delivery. Yeah, that's what happened essentially. Yeah.
You became exasperated with your exasperated.
I know. I was like, this is going in one of two ways, and I'm not sure. I know which way I want it to go, but I don't think I can make my lips say it properly.
Well, what's the plan now for you? And you have a 5-year plan with? Do you know where you're?
What's your 5-year plan?
You've been working with my wife has a coach, Kelsey Murphy.
Yeah.
And the two of you both share that. Where is she pushing you to go now?
Well, I actually ended my work with her back in June, and I just hired a new coach yesterday, which was after. Oh, I didn't tell you, Harmony. I hired Sarah.
Nice.
So that was
I love her. Sarah
emotional roller coaster that I had to go through with not feeling ready, but feeling ready. And, you're never really ready. It's like having a baby. Are you ever really ready? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that, I have like my 3-year plan in mind. I have started stepping into my role as a speaker. So booking more speaking opportunities in 2023 is going to be really big for me. And then in 3-ish years, I'm hoping to start writing a book, but that could turn into a 5-year. So I'm not really sure there. The rest, I'm just kind of responding to life, letting life come to me and responding. Yeah.
I love it.
It's already unfolded in ways I didn't expect.
Was one of those. Maybe you responded to this invitation. It's like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I actually always wanted to ask Harmony to be on the podcast, but I was like, I feel like I don't have that much to give. And then she asked me, and I was like, okay, I see you. I see you, universe. There we go.
This has been really fun.
Yeah. How can people find you? I know you have like a special offer for doing some sessions or how can people work with you?
So right on my website, adrianakeefe.com, they can book a chart reading, or I also have one-to-one coaching. I do have, I don't know when this is going to air, but I do have my online course for human design for business going live in January. I think about the end of January. They can just sign up for that for the wait list right on my website. And then my podcast, Women Who Want More, which Harmony graced us with her presence over the summer, I want to say.
I think it was in the summer.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I was just thinking, I want to like send you guys all my notes on your charts because you have a lot of electromagnetism between them where you like, one person has one gate defined, the other person has the other. And it's just like, boom. And it's just
like one gate's defined and one gate's open.
Yep. And then the other person has the other defined gate. And you guys have a lot of cool syncing in your charts. So I'll have to send you all my notes.
Feel it. By the way, if on your podcast, Women Who Want More, I am available.
What do you want to talk about?
If women want more,
he's available for more.
I can be more. So I wanted to say that because I knew in my heart, like that is so, putting myself out there like that is so opposite of my tendency.
Is it?
I just thought this would be funny on many different levels if I said this.
I feel like I know him so well now after seeing his chart. I'm just like, oh yeah, I know who he is. I get it.
That's so cool. I would love to know more about this magnetism.
Yeah.
Is there any particular center?
All day long you feel it. Like, oh, this guy.
I know, but is there any particular like centers that are like powerfully magnetized?
More powerful than another, that I'm not quite sure, but you guys have you have so when one gate is fully defined to another gate, it creates what's called a channel. So when you both bring those gates to the table, then you together can create this sort of channel. And I think the one that stood out for me the most was in your head centers, because let's see, 64, 47. Oh yeah. So with you, Harmony, you're very much like a lover of philosophy and understanding life and contemplating life. And that's when we first started talking today. And I was like, I love watching you think now because I can just see it. So that like 6447 gate is the channel of abstract thinking. So it's like, you know that analogy, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it. Have you heard that analogy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, did it even fall? And most people would be like, well, who really cares? And you'd be like, I do. Like, does that really?
She does.
I've contemplated this at great depths. Trust me, I have a whole degree in philosophy. So I've contemplated all kinds of strange abstract things at great depth and had a great time doing it.
Your degree is in philosophy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
You were
the 50 books
chart,
on Hegel in our library are taking up a lot of space.
Heidegger, Hegel.
All of it.
All
Foucault.
That's awesome.
Like we can get those out.
Yep. But then like Russell will have one of those defined, but not both. And it's like when you're together, you can kind of pull the pieces out of him to kind of conceptualize or communicate those certain things. So it's really cool watching the definitions between you two.
Interesting.
Like a sense of articulation of an impulse. She asks me for that a lot. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Yeah.
Well, when you're trying to put a concept together that you know intuitively what you want to say, and you ask me for how to what word would best suit it. You ask me that like many times a day for the last 6 years.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yep. His gate 47 is the gate of realization. And it's like he's a born problem solver. You have that gate, Harmony, but yours is subconscious. So sometimes you need to kind of step out of the normal ways of thinking, or you need someone else to help pull it out of you. And you guys have a lot of complementary gates on your charts.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I love that. I think people should
everywhere.
Yeah, people should like get their lover and like come do a couple session with you.
I know. That's actually something I've thought about doing in the future. More of relationship.
I would go further than that, and I would start arranging marriages.
You probably could.
Because that's that synchronicity is something that really should be cherished, and you should really kind of save yourself for, because it's special.
Like single women, they should get their boyfriend's chart.
There should be an app for that.
An app,
what I'm saying.
Right?
An app for
There's apparently
channels.
a human design dating app. Apparently.
Oh my god!
Is there? Because that would really. That's where you want to find yourself.
To look up how he could, because he really wants to stop what he's doing in his career and work in some sort of sex energy work. And he's like, what if we could work together where you're working in human design with relationships and whatever? So he was like, let's do an app. And it turns out it's already existing.
There already is one.
Yeah, I highly recommend that, because there are times you find yourself with people that they fill a particular need that you had, but it's not truly magic like the storybooks. And that experience of meeting someone who's magic and everything falls into place is so life changing. And things like love songs on the radio make sense in a way that had never had before.
Oh my God, my husband said that to me when we first started dating. Did you guys steal that from a movie or something? I'm on to him now.
Yeah.
I think it's just true. I think it's the experience of falling in love for reals.
For reals.
Yeah, for reals.
Yeah.
For reals.
For reals. For
Yeah.
reals. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this was so fun and so beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and all of your human design expertise with us, and also just giggling and having a fun time talking about all of our idiosyncrasies. I'm having trouble today.
Good effort. Good effort,
Time for a
sweetie.
nap, Harmony. Time for a nap.
Time for a nap.
I just woke up.
To be honest, she woke up 6 hours ago. Let's be real. It's 11 a.m.
What time is it for you there? It's 11.
It's 11, and she woke up 6 hours ago. So
wow.
It's time for a nap.
Good for you. I think it is time for a nap.
Well, thank you again, and I can't wait to talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
You too.